Hello my fellow and future K-pop fans with parasocial relationship issues. Today I'm going to explain the basics of everything you need to know about K-pop. Before we get into all the different parts of K-pop, let's clear up what K-pop actually means. Technically, it stands for Korean pop music, but for most fans it's strongly connected to idol culture. So you can think of K-pop as having two sides. The idol industry on the one side and the Korean pop artists who aren't part of the system on the other. And for this video, everything I'm going to talk about focuses on the idol industry, the groups, the training system, the fandom culture, not Korean pop music as a whole. If that sounds a little too complicated for you, then just continue to watch the video and you will get a hang of it. So we know we are talking about the idol industry, but where do these idols actually come from? They don't just appear overnight after all. Every idol starts out as a trainee, which basically means they sign with an entertainment company and train for months or usually years before they ever get to debut. During this time they are practicing everything: singing, dancing, stage presence, rapping, acting, even languages and media training. So it's a pretty intense endeavor. Trainees usually live together, go to classes every day and constantly get evaluated by the company. Some make it to debut, some get moved into different potential groups and some never debut at all. It's kind of a long audition that never stops. What makes it interesting is that fans often follow trainees even before they debut, especially through survival shows or pre-debut content. So once a group finally debuts, it feels like you watch them level up from the beginning. But the system can also be very cruel, since many idols have to give up their youth to chase this dream and some don't even make it after spending years of training. Remember how I said the trainee system is intense? Now imagine doing all that training, stress and evaluations but on national television. And exactly that is a survival show. Sometimes, instead of debuting a group quietly, companies throw a bunch of trainees into a TV competition. Shows like Produce 101 or Island make trainees battle for a spot in the final lineup. Viewers vote for who stays and who goes home. For many, it can get emotionally exhausting to watch, because you get attached to these trainees and then you have to watch them get eliminated. But the groups that come out of these shows like Twice or Enhypen usually start with a huge dedicated fanbase, because we've already seen them cry, sweat and fight for the dreams. It's basically the Hunger Games but with a better choreography. If a trainee survives that process and makes it into a debut group, they aren't just thrown onto the stage randomly. If you ever looked up a K-pop group's profile on sites like K-Profile, you probably noticed something unique. Unlike Western boy bands or girl groups where everyone is usually just a member, K-pop groups are structured a lot more like sports teams or an RPG party. Next to every member's name, you see specific titles like main vocalist, visual or maknae. Every member has a specific job to make sure the team functions perfectly. Here's a breakdown of what those positions actually mean. First, you have the leader. This person is the glue of the group. They act as the official spokesperson, doing the talking during interviews and introducing the group at award shows. Behind the scenes they often mediate disputes and keep morale high. Usually this role goes to the oldest member or the one who trained the longest, like RM of BTS or Jihyo of Twice. Next, let's look at the skill positions where you see the terms main and lead. The main is the specialist. The main vocalist handles the hardest high notes and ad-libs, while the main dancer gets the solo dance breaks. The same goes for the main rapper, who gets the most rap lines. They are the heavy hitters of the group, like Baekhyun of EXO or Rose of Blackpink. The lead in comparison is the second in command. They are incredibly skilled, but their job is often to stabilize the performance. They usually sing the opening verses to set the mood before the main comes in for the climax. The same goes for the lead rapper, they often start the verse. The lead dancer is the second best dancer of a group and they often dance in the front. They are also the sub-vocalist and rapper, and they often are just the other members who do the same things, but are less skilled than the main and the lead. Then there is the visual. This is a position unique to K-pop. The visual is the member who most closely fits traditional Korean beauty standards. Their job is essentially marketing, catching the public's eye to bring brand new fans into the fandom. Think of members like Jin of BTS or Irene of Red Velvet. But don't confuse the visual with the center. The center is the member who stands in the middle of the formation during the chorus or the ending pose. They are the focal point of the performance and usually embody the group's concept the best. Wonyoung of IVE and Kai of EXO are famous centers because of their magnetic stage presence. Finally, we have the maknae, which basically means youngest sibling. The youngest member is responsible for bringing energy and youthfulness to the team. You might also hear the term evil maknae, which is basically a playful name for the youngest member who loves to prank their older teammates. Jungkook of BTS, known as the golden maknae, is probably the most famous example. So when you see these titles, it's not just about rank, it's about how different talents come together to make one cohesive group. Once the members are chosen and the positions are assigned, the company has to decide how to package the group to the public. This brings us to concepts. If you are new to K-pop, you might hear the word concept thrown around a lot. Simply put, a K-pop concept is an overarching theme, identity and aesthetic that an idol group or solo artist adopts for their debut or more commonly for a specific comeback, which is the release of the new music. This isn't just about the song itself, the concept is a total package that influences every single aspect of the release. The music, the visuals, the storytelling and the choreography are all influenced by it. The goal of the concept is to give the group a unique, highly memorable image and to create a fully immersive world for the fans to dive into. Groups will often change their concept with every new album to keep things fresh and show off their versatility. Some prominent concepts are the girl crush concept used by many popular groups like Blackpink and ITZY, the summer concept used by almost every group during the summertime, but there's also the horror concept that isn't used that often except by groups like Red Velvet or Dreamcatcher. Of course there are many more, but I think if I want to put them all in a video, it needs to be a separate one. So now imagine your favorite group just dropped a killer new song with a cool concept. In the USA, they might do 1 or 2 talk shows and then head out on a tour, but in K-pop, it's a total grind. They enter the battlefield of music shows. Basically for a week straight, idols are on TV almost every single day performing that same song. You've got M Countdown on Thursday, Music Bank on Fridays, Inkiago on Sundays, it's a non-stop circuit. But here's the kicker, they aren't just performances, they're straight up competitions. Every week these shows tally up points based on streaming, album sales, YouTube views and fan votes. Then at the very end of the episode, all of the artists stand on the stage together staring at a screen to see who gets the #1 spot. This leads to the first win. If you're new to this, you might wonder why idols cry their eyes out over a small trophy. It's because getting that first win is a huge milestone. It's the industry's way of validating them. It proves that they aren't just surviving the training system, they are actually succeeding. So if you see a group sobbing on stage, unable to sing their encore, it's usually because they got their first big W. But these concepts haven't looked always the same. Over the decades, the style of music and the way groups are marketed has evolved, leading to what we call generations. Generations basically help us to group different time periods of K-pop so we can see how the music style and industry evolved. The first generation was the OG era, late 90s to early 2000s. Groups like HOT and SES. They set the foundation, but the industry was still figuring itself out. The second generation is when K-pop really started going global. Think late 2000s to early 2010s, Big Bang, Girls' Generation, 21 and SHINee. This era shaped the classic K-pop sound and iconic choreographies everyone remembers. The third generation around mid-2010s is where K-pop fully exploded worldwide. BTS, EXO, Blackpink and Twice, they made K-pop mainstream internationally and set insane new standards for production and fandom culture. Then comes the fourth generation. Starting around 2018, you can think of Stray Kids, TXT, aespa and ITZY. This era was all about powerful performances, experimental music and massive social media presence. And finally there's the fifth generation, which we are in right now. Newer groups like Baby Monster, Elite, Rise and Pay to Win. So when fans talk about generations, it's often seen as a shift in the music or just a wave of new groups that come to the industry. Regardless of which generation a group belongs to, one thing remains the beating heart of the industry: idol culture. Think of it as the heart of the K-pop industry. In K-pop, an idol isn't just a singer, they are an entertainer who trains for years in singing, dancing, performing and even things like acting or variety shows before they debut. But idol culture isn't just about the artists, it's also about the relationship between idols and fans. Idols are expected to be very polished, hardworking and very connected to their fans. That's why you see so much behind the scenes content, live streams, variety shows and fan interactions. The idea is that you're not just listening to their music, you're following their journey, watching them grow and cheering them on. So when people talk about K-pop as more than just music, this is what they mean. They try to create a deep connection between the fans and the idols, which can lead to many problems and worship of idols. To navigate this intense fandom culture, you need to speak the language. Explaining K-pop slang is something that can take a while, so I'm just going to explain some of the most used terms here. Bias refers to the favorite member of a group. An ultimate bias is your favorite idol out of all of them. A bias wrecker is an idol that is almost your bias. An anti is a hater of a group. A sasaeng is an idol stalker fan. Nugu refers to a little known group or idol. An ace is an idol that took the industry like a storm with their talent. An all-rounder is an idol that excels in all things needed to be an idol. A dozen refers to an overrated idol. Hiatus is a period of time an idol or group takes a break. A solo stan is a fan that only likes one idol out of a group. Another important part of K-pop is the album culture. Buying a K-pop album is like buying a Happy Meal. It comes in a fancy box with a massive photo book, posters, stickers and the holy grail, the photo card. A photo card is literally just a selfie of a member printed on cardstock, kind of like a Pokemon card. But here's the catch, it's actually random. You don't know which member you're gonna get. So if you really want a card of your bias, you might have to buy multiple albums or trade with other fans online. It's basically gambling but with cute selfies. And it is the main reason why physical sales in K-pop are so popular. One more thing about the lingo in K-pop. Fandom names aren't just nicknames the fans made up, they're official. In the Western music industry, you have Swifties or Beliebers, which usually start naturally online. In K-pop, the company and the group actually have an official naming ceremony. They give the fandom name a meaning and sometimes even an official color. For example, Twice fans are Once, because if you love them once, they will repay you with Twice the love, Blackpink has Blinks and Stray Kids has Stay. It sounds a little cheesy, but it's all about branding. It's supposed to give you a team identity, so you aren't just a fan, you are part of the family. Alright, now you've got your fandom, but you also need the gear. If you ever watched a K-pop concert clip, you probably noticed the crowd doesn't look like a dark room with random phone flashlights. It looks more like a glowing synchronized ocean, and all of that is because of light sticks. In K-pop, they don't do generic glow sticks. Fans buy these wands that are specifically designed for their favorite group. It's almost like a magic wand for your fandom. Every group has a custom design. BTS has the army bomb, which looks like a little glob, Blackpink has a squeaky toy hammer, and Twice has a candy bone. Basically, holding one of these is the ultimate flex that says, yeah, I'm part of the squad. Now that we've covered the fun side of the fandom, we have to look at the darker reality. The deep connections fans feel toward idols comes with a price, and that is the most visible when we see idols start dating. To understand why dating is such a minefield, you first have to look at the logistics. An idol's life is built around brutal schedules, endless training, non-stop promotions and global performances, leaving almost no room for a personal life. But the real barrier isn't just time, it's the business model. Many companies enforce strict no dating rules. The goal is to protect the idol's image as unattainable and fully devoted to fans. The industry sells a fantasy that the idol belongs to the public and a relationship shatters that illusion. Still, idols are human and dating does happen. With limited social circles, it's common for feelings to develop between idols who meet backstage on variety shows or even during their trainee days. Keeping these relationships alive requires extreme secrecy. Codenames, separate casts, hidden meeting spots, everything to avoid paparazzi. Because when they get caught, the fallout can be pretty brutal. Dating news are treated as a scandal. Some fans are supportive, but many feel betrayed, a result of the intense parasocial bonds the industry encourages. When a relationship is exposed, controversy follows. Public apologies, hiatuses, even contract terminations. Often the pressure alone is enough to end a relationship within weeks. While a few idols manage to find happiness, for most falling in love is one of the riskiest moves they can make in their career. And yeah, all of this drama around dating is pretty stupid. But the strict control doesn't just apply to their love lives, it applies to their faces and bodies too. This leads us to the final chapter, Korean beauty standards. Take a look at two groups of massively popular idols. On the one side, Jisoo, Irene and Wonyoung. On the other, Soyeon, Hwasa and Jiho. All adored by millions, but in Korea they are perceived very differently. The first group fits the Korean beauty standard almost perfectly, the second challenges it. So what does the standard actually look like? It isn't abstract, it's a checklist. A small V-shaped face, a high nose bridge, fair porcelain skin, double eyelids and large eyes. Add a slim body, straight shoulders, long legs and a thigh gap. Wonyoung is one of the most popular examples. She doesn't just meet the standard, she embodies it. Face, skin and proportions, she checks nearly every box. Which is why she's often called the it girl of her generation. That contrast explains the scrutiny faced by idols like Soyeon, Hwasa and Jiho. These idols are criticized for traits Western audiences barely notice. Especially having a darker skin tone or body type that doesn't match the ultra slim ideal. This creates a disconnect between fandoms. Western fans often reject these standards as outdated or strange, but ignoring them misses how powerful they remain in the domestic market. That's why idols who fall outside the standard matter. They prove that while the checklist exists, it isn't the only route to success. And that concludes the final chapter of the video. If you enjoyed it, you can like and comment to support me. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. I hope you have a great day and don't forget, stay Dreamcatcher.